Protect your system from getting toasted. Surgex is the world leader in AC power conditioning technologies. When downtime is not an option, rely on Surgex. It's power protection you can trust.
IED, a proud member of the MyTech Communications Group, continues its tradition of the total Ethernet audio-visual paging solution. The new Sidekick microphone station from IED.
Hi, welcome back to Sound and Communications Viewpoint. We're still talking about the house of worship market and trends that we see. And we left off talking about some of the new technologies, social interaction, and that sort of stuff. But really what I want to do is talk about, the nuts and bolts. How, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to, invest in some of this technology, or I'm starting a new church, or I'm doing a remote site, how do you guys deal with that customer?
I think the first thing we do is take them to a couple of different options, if you will, and we feel like the best way to do multi-site is to do a three-screen approach, in that you have a center lockdown shot, and then that is always a high-def center lockdown shot, and then the side screens are actually the image mag that they would capture at the campus. So as the participant in the remote site, when they look on the stage, they see a life-size, maybe a little larger life-size image of the whole proscenium opening, and then they get their close-up and reference shots from the side screens. And the reason we believe that's been so effective is probably about 6 or 7 years ago, when we first started working in that, I talked to several pastors and I said, how often in rooms do people start looking at the side screens and not look directly at you? And each one of them said between that 4th and 6th row, and I said, you are kidding me. You mean 95% of the people are looking at the side screens and you're standing up on the stage live? And so when we found out that kind of gave birth to the idea of, you're just peripherally giving people a lot, an anchor shot, if you will, that never changes, and they're looking at the side screens anyway. So once we go past that hurdle, then there's the delivery method on that. And one way is what we call SneakerNet, as we've alluded to earlier, where hard drives move and it's a week delayed. Technology is just starting to get to the place now where we feel our preferred way to do that is via what broadcasters have used for several years now on SDI circuits.
And that's just been an economic decision, really.
Absolutely.
It's really been too expensive.
The size of the pipe, I'm sure.
Is it over fiber, or?
Yes, it is over fiber and comes in, and it's what the affiliate from New York would talk to their affiliate in Los Angeles in. And what we've done is taken that information and use the same data pipe for a standard def SDI and encoded basically an HD signal. So to every one of the remote sites that want to do it live, we have a standard def locked with an HD, and there's 16 channels of AES audio going back and forth, so they can do little stem mixes, if you will, to the remote sites from that. And then there's some other options that we've talked about with the internet. But we call it the Chewbacca growl that we don't like. So when the frames move.
Yeah, it's not quite. The internet's not quite. They're not quite ready for prime time for that. And we have satellite. We have churches that are doing satellite delivery. So they're actually recording a separate show, if you will, a separate mix. They have a separate switcher head that's doing a whole separate mix for the main worship center they're in, and they're sending out a satellite IMAG shot. And it's probably not dissimilar to what you're talking about, but it's just a separate mix that they send out.
The sort of driving philosophy there is we want to have people feel as if they're in the original capture environment, because churches invest a lot of money in time and energy and creativity in developing an environment in which they're teaching. And if you can create that illusion in other multiple environments, then it becomes less of an overflow and more of a I'm meaningfully engaged in the worship of this church and this environment.
Because especially now, the reason we've tried to go live, if the money permits, is since people want to be more spontaneous, if you will. And the one key factor that until recently has not been available is what we call the TiVo effect, where even the remote sites, when they're streaming the information, I use that term broadly, they want to not have to be completely synced up with where the content is originating from. So they need to be able to hit the record pause button.
We have a client that has 5 different remote sites on campus. That they're sending, and they're basically doing that. They're DVRing it, they're TiVoing it there, and they're the only prerequisite is they can't start that, and at least 10 seconds after the minister's speaking in the main worship center.
Well, and I think that's all. That's been a response to the fact that as churches have gone multi-site, the different campuses can lose a sense of belonging to each other, and technology is at a point now where it can allow churches to be physically distributed throughout an area, but also create a sense of we're part of one local church, if you will.
Right. And I think the key to the remote site that we've seen, because I actually attend a remote site of a church and get to experience this on a week-to-week basis, is the music has to be live there. Everything is live except for the teaching portion of that. We've been in some situations where there's been, the singing and everything has been put, and that seems to be a little less engaging, only from my opinion, from a standpoint of I want to make it a virtual reality world, for lack of a better word. Sure. And that was the whole catalyst of going with the lockdown shot in the center and syncing it at the side. I want, in a good way, to make people forget that they are watching a video stream of something that's not happening there locally.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I think we should talk about the next time is getting into some of the new technologies, some of the virtual world, the holographic stuff. Right now we need to break, and we'd love you guys to come back in 2 weeks for the next edition of Viewpoint, where we'll talk more about these trends and some of the ways that integrators are actually helping churches deal with this new technology. For now, this has been Pat Thompson with TV Magic at Houston, and George Clark with Clark Promedia, and thanks for watching.